Service. Hi. As I ring the Tibetan bowl, let the sound surround you. Breathe deeply and relax as it slowly fades away, and give thanks that each of us is part of the connective tissue that holds both the legacy and the future of our faith. Okay. Michael? Thank you. Great. Thank you, Michael. That was lovely. Well, good morning and welcome, members, friends, visitors, and those of you joining us this morning via Zoom to the Unitarian Universalists of the Chester River. We come together as an intentional community gathered around our mission to support each other's individual spiritual journeys and to inspire, inform, and support all who seek a more equal and just community. We are pleased that you are here with us today. I'm Joan Caivano, and I'm your service leader this morning, working along with Reverend Catherine. We are grateful for Michael Casey at the piano, whomever provided these beautiful poinsettias. I'm sorry, I don't know who to thank. And Michael Morris and the rest of our tech team and the volunteers as noted in your order of service, who make this and every Sunday morning possible. Now, I have quite a few announcements this morning. First, as always, we need coffee hosts and greeters. This is an easy way to support our congregation and to get to know folks, especially as a greeter. And today is your last chance to buy a ticket for the ever-popular UUCR Soup Sampler fundraiser to be held on Friday, December 12th. We need more dessert makers and volunteers to set up the morning of the 12th and take down the morning of the 13th. So please step forward if you can. And also, there will be no potluck on December 19th and no Sunday service on December 21st. But there will be our annual Eve of the Eve service on Tuesday, December 23rd at 7 o'clock. However, and this is important, it's followed by a cookie reception. And we have a coffee host, but that coffee host, Elizabeth Tully, will need support setting up tables and such. So anyone who could come early, please do so. And then a note on the start time, we will start at 6:30, even though the formal thing, the service, starts at 7. There will be a couple of trombone players who will begin playing at 6:30, and they welcome everyone to come join in singing carols. So That's on December 23rd, starting at 6:30. So if anyone can help Elizabeth set up tables, that would be great. And the following Sunday, the 28th, I think it's the following Sunday, we will host an informal gathering to bring in the new year, but I have no details for you right now, but they'll be forthcoming. Okay, and finally, I was asked to let you know about the shelter closet. That is now located next to the Dollar Tree in Kent Plaza, and it's part of the Shelter Alliance. Their biggest need is school-age children's clothing, but all gifts are welcome, from socks, blankets, warm casual, to interview clothes. Coat hangers are always a need. Donation and procurement times are 10 to 2 on Wednesday and Saturday. And if you have clothing that shouldn't go to anyone, but you need to recycle it, there's a box for recycling clothing and other materials at the Acme drop box. Okay, that's it for the business, I think. And now we move on to the chalice lighting. Okay, please join me as I light the chalice and lead you in reading the words on the insert in your order of service. We will also light 2 Advent candles. We're a little bit behind on the Advent candles, so we're catching up with 2 today, along with our chalice. So we're making good use of flame. Okay. An adaptation of Constellations of Our Lives by Karen Johnston. Humans make up stars. Shift over time, across cultures, names change for the same assemblage of bright points. Drinking gourd, Big Dipper, plow, lost hunters, Saptarishi. Humans make constellations by connecting stars. Humans make meaning by connecting stories. Story to story, narrative to story. Some blaze bright, some are faint. Most are backdrop to the great and mundane human unfolding. Let us imagine the stories of our lives as a story universe above our heads. May the stories we connect draw constellations that reflect a shared ministry that calls out the best in us. Okay, now please rise in body or spirit as we sing hymn number 361 in the gray hymnal. Enter, rejoice, and come in. How many verses?
Up to 5. Yeah, but that's how many are in the book.
Catherine, do you have an opinion of how many verses?
Let's just do the first 3.
Okay, thank you. This morning, Reverend Catherine will explore with us the wisdom of the history of African American futures and help us imagine new worlds. Grounded in history, scholarship, music, and even Star Trek, this powerful perspective invites our creativity, honesty, and imagination toward building a better world. I can't think of anything more sorely needed at this moment in our history. One of the major Black women icons who helped define the ever-evolving concept of Afrofuturism through her activism, artistry, and humanity was Octavia Butler. A groundbreaking author and poet, Butler emerged as a powerful voice in science fiction in the 1970s. Distinct from the styles of dominant white male authors, Butler wrote stories aligned with Black cultural themes and with Black characters, often as heroic survivors in oppressive worlds, challenging social hierarchies of race, class, and gender. To help set the stage for Reverend Catherine's sermon, our opening words today are from a poem by Octavia Butler called You See This. You see this is what is in you, what makes you, what connects you. You are more than flesh and bone, more than blood and sinew, more than tendon and cartilage. You are forever. You are everything, everywhere, all at once. You are universes and galaxies, still undiscovered. You are stardust, quasar, nebula, light and light and light, even if you feel like a black hole, even if you feel the world crumbling, even if you feel the cold of void, of evil, of hatred, of ignorance. They cannot box you. They are rooted in capitalism, in greed, in the lies of their own supremacy. They are dirt, nutrients stripped dry, nothing, dust. You are seed, you are universe, you are power, you are the soul of the constellations. You are time without end, infinite, infinite, infinite. You are creation before creation, begetting creation. You are change. God is change. You are God. If and when you forget this, look to the heavens, see your destiny, take root among the stars. And now Reverend Catherine will guide us in meditation.
I invite us into the spirit of meditation and let our own imagination soar as I read an excerpt of On Imagination by Phyllis Wheatley Peters from her work Poems on Various Subjects, Religious and Moral. It was published in 1773. Now here, now there, the roving fancy flies till some loved object strikes her wandering eyes, whose silken fetters all senses bind, and soft captivity involves the mind. Imagination, who can sing thy force, or who describe the swiftness of thy course, soaring through the air and to find the bright abode, the ethereal place of the thundering God. We are on thy pinions can surpass the wind and leave the rolling universe behind. From star to star the mental optics rove, measure the skies and range the realms above. There are one view we gasp the mighty whole, or with new worlds amaze the unbounded soul. Through winter frowns and fancy's ruptured eyes, fields may flourish and gay scenes arise. The frozen depths may break their iron bands and bid their winter waters murmur over the sands. Fair Flora may resume her fragrant reign, and with her flowery riches deck the plain. Sylvanus may diffuse his honors round, and all the forest may with leaves be crowned. Showers may descend and dews their gems disclose, and nectar sparkle upon the blooming rose.
Blessed be. Now for the offertory. As we care for each other here today, let us also care for this church, its mission and programs. Please give as you are able, for we are now the keepers of the flame. Today, the Social Justice Committee is taking a collection for the purchase of gift cards for families in need during the holiday. Amy Warner on cue is from the Social Justice Committee and will tell us about it.
Hello.
That one sounds like it needs changing. Just grab it.
All right. So the Social Justice Committee has traditionally had a holiday sharing during December, and this year we are doing Toys for Tots, and I can see that people have been generous and the basket is full. We're also going to do something traditionally, which is an outreach offering. And so today, the collection, with the exception of anybody's pledges, is going towards gift cards for, to give to families for this Department of Social Services that's coordinating the Toys for Tots. And so thank you for your generosity, and we appreciate all of your giving during the holiday season to help families in Kent County. Thank you.
For these gifts generously given, we are truly thankful. Now it's time to welcome Reverend Catherine to our pulpit for the sermon.
If you can't imagine a new world, you can't imagine a better one. Afrofuturism expresses notions of Black identity, agency, freedom through art, creative works, and activism that envision liberated futures of Black life. This definition by Dr. Kevin Young and the opening quote are both by Dr. Kevin Young and from the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Their Afrofuturism exhibit is worth checking out, and it's online, so you don't even have to cross the bridge, with amazing samples of art and music and stories that we should all explore, because Black history is American history, 365 days of the year. My heart, mind, and creativity have opened as I've built new skills, found new joy, and gained different perspectives, as Joan started to mention earlier, along my anti-racist journey. And thus, I've grown, and my imagination is far more powerful. Today, I think we need to get our imaginations going, people. And the beautiful artistry of Afrofuturism can be a guide, an inspiration, and a collaborator as we, all of us, imagine a new world so we can imagine a better one. Since Afrofuturism is an extension and comes out of the African American experience, I need to name that I'm Irish American, a cis heterosexual professional class woman. And while these identities will inevitably shape my perceptions, I commit to and endeavor to offer this topic as faithfully as possible to the authors, artists, and culture that created this beautiful way of perceiving and journeying through the world. Part of that beauty is inherently related to the Black cultural experience of disaster, oppressive structures, and really importantly, survival and thriving. We don't stop there, right? Afrofuturism doesn't shy away from pessimism or from futures that may be demonstrably worse than today. And that's really important for Unitarian Universalists. We have in our legacy a history of progress, onward and upward forever. That's part of our heritage. And this is another way that can open an opportunity to address that, that might not be true, right? Our denomination had a really hard time right after World War II. We were on the onward and upward forever track until World War II, and people had a hard time making meaning of that disaster. Does that make sense? Whereas coming out of the African American experience, Afrofuturism's like, bad things happen, and we can thrive, and we can survive, and talk about how to do that. We started exploring futurism and its resonance with our present in the May 4th service, Imagine Possibilities. It's available in the Sermon Archive. Afrofuturism is also imaginative, and it's grounded in history and cultural trends, but centering that African American culture adds a certain strength, a certain knowledge. It's not a guess, it's not a thought, it's not a hope. We know that we can survive and thrive through dystopian futures. And they know that because they have. And that certainty right now feels really comforting in my uncertainty. That feels weird, right? My certainty that we can survive and thrive through hard times feels comforting in all the uncertainty. Designer and futurist Tracy Worley invited us to expect that things will change, surprise, and collapse, and know that you can survive it, but you need to be more communal in the way you approach it. Afrofuturism has roots in the ways the enslaved human beings envisioned the future. Through imagination and vision and creative works, they engage the past and their present to repurpose it for a future. So I shared an excerpt of On Imagination from Phyllis Wheatley Peters, and the whole poem is available online from the Poetry Foundation. Phyllis Wheatley was born in West Africa, kidnapped and enslaved at 7 years old. She became the first Black author to publish a book of poetry in the United States. Her first publication was at 13 years old. And she was the second woman to publish a book of poems in the United States. She wrote a book, Poems on Various Subjects, Religious and Moral, including On Imagination, when she was 20. And On Imagination is a beautiful work that is often interpreted as a celebration of imagination or fancy to inspire and lead our intellect and our emotions to a gorgeous mindscape. And that would be the freedom of the poet. And when read with the author's context, it invites us to consider what freedom means to an enslaved woman. She was forced to live in harsh conditions in a foreign world without family and connections. And we can hear the loosening of the chains in her poem too. I think that's there as well. How does one adapt and survive? The mistake is to try to pit that one against the other, right? An either or. But her beautiful work, and that I'm using in this moment to highlight it, and Afrofuturism in general, isn't either or, it's yes and. It is the freedom of the poet and the freedom of enslaved people, and what that means to formerly enslaved people. This yes and imagining of new futures for Black people and all genders, and honestly all of us, is the magic I see in Afrofuturism. She is named by a story, 5 You Should Know, Black women icons of Afrofuturism. And honestly, I had never heard of her until I read that story. So there was a lot of really amazing people highlighted in that work. Another author was a Maryland man, Benjamin Banneker. Has anyone ever heard of him? Lots of us. Excellent. He was a Black farmer, mathematician, inventor, who wrote an almanac which precisely predicted the movements of the stars and planets, in part to refute the assertion that African Americans were intellectually inferior. And he's really brave. He took on Thomas Jefferson, corresponding in letters and even sending some of Phyllis Wheatley Peters' poetry. Thomas Jefferson ended up praising the almanac and supported it in a letter, and that letter would be published with the almanac and eventually also circulated widely by abolitionists. Imaginations of these two Afrofuturists and their vision helped create the very future that they imagined. So now I'm going to pivot to another aspect of Afrofuturism. How do we capture and embody the sense of outer space? And to start, I really have to thank Darlene for the beautiful image in Reflections and on the webpage for this service, which if a picture says 1,000 words, I could stop here. And because I'm a minister, I won't. But we heard one approach to embodying our connections to everything in the beautiful poem that Joan read in her opening. You See This by Octavia Butler. The fact that the poem embodies the vastness of space. You are forever. You are everything, everywhere, all at once. You are universes and galaxies still undiscovered. You are stardust. Quasar, nebula, light and light and light. Even if you feel like a black hole, even if you feel like the world is crumbling, even if you feel the cold of void. Do you hear how we are ourselves and more? Do you hear the acknowledgement of the affirmation that times will be hard? And did you hear the poem invite you to lean into community, into that the world can collapse and we can survive it? Let's move beyond the text to go a little deeper of how did it feel? Could you feel your inherent worth and dignity, regardless of the conditions around you? Could you feel that you were part of everything and it was part of you that living that value of interdependence? And could you feel the vast, unconquerable breadth of your soul and your power? This poem was written by another of the five you should know, Octavia Butler. So prior to this service, who had heard of Octavia Butler? Man, today I'm preaching to the choir. Among her famous books includes the Parable series, starting with The Parable of the Sower, written in 1993, which describes a world devastated by climate change and resulting with increasingly dangerous and inequitable society. Many people live in private, heavily armed compounds, and in 2025, Los Angeles burns. In the sequel, Parable of the Talons, a hyper-conservative fundamentalist candidate rises to power under the slogan, "Make America Great Again." These books are eerily prescient, and I have to admit that in 1993, I usually have a pretty good grasp of things that are coming, but I didn't think this is where we were going. But she did. She actually didn't think we were going there. She wrote it as a possibility, a warning. Octavia Butler was a futurist, an Afrofuturist, and she called her method of writing these poems and books Historiofuturism. I like that. Octavia read incessantly and held room for both darkness and pessimism to tell the story of survival. And that's what I really want us to walk away with today, right? My takeaway is that things will get hard and we will survive. The main character designs the Earthseed system, a religious framing that God is change and will go with humanity into the stars. The divine change is shaped by believers who know that change is inevitable and embrace their role in it. For me, this resonates with the ethic of responsibility we've been centering this year. For if we are change, then nothing can ever truly be inevitable, right? We are change. And nothing can also be eternal. There's too much entropy for eternal, and it can't all be chaos because we are change and we shape that. So Octavia uses this story to describe the unfolding of a dystopia that she hoped we would never realize, and to teach us not to despair. Other ways to capture that sense of outer space is in costumes and music, like The Wiz, the musical collective psychedelic Parliament Funkadelic, which has very psychedelic tones, and the central creator, George Clinton, whose costumes and music are celebrated as Afrocentric creations of art. There's another expression of embodying space that moved me personally, and as I stumbled on the art of Mikel Owona. As we live through the numerous killings of Black bodies leading to the summer of racial reckoning and the rise of the Black Lives Matter protests, there was a lot of images of Black bodies that were very hard and very hurtful. He was inspired to create something that showed the Black body in beauty and reconnect Black people to their ancestry. Mikel used his skills as an engineer to build an ultraviolet flash for his camera and fluorescent paints on bodies of nude artists to create images of, quote, cosmic grandeur, dense symbolism, and the presentation of Blackness as a divine cosmic source from which everything originates. These images are both human and celestial, as if the human bodies are made of stars. And I have the book with me today. I'll have it available during coffee hour for anyone who wishes to look at it. He uses the images to tell the Odake ni Ebere cosmology of the Igbo people. I find it breathtaking work. And when I look at the images, I see them portraying the divine in the models, in the black body, in creation, and in each and every one of us. We all come back to an Eve from somewhere around Ethiopia. And after a while, spending time with these images, I see the divine in myself just a little more clearly. And while this is true, this leads me to my last step on our exploration of the embodiment of the cosmos, the final frontier. Many of our first exposures to Afrofuturism may have been Lieutenant Noyoto Uhura, who I'm sure I just butchered that, a black woman bridge officer on the starship Enterprise. And if so, we weren't alone. Future astronauts, women, particularly black women, were inspired to break into math, navigation, and engineering by this futuristic character. This art helped create the very future by inspiring Mae Jemison, the first black woman in space, and Major General Charles F. Bolden Jr., the first African American to lead NASA. Never underestimate the power of art. The actress Nicole, I'm having a morning today. The actress Nichelle Nichols wanted to leave the show after the first season. Martin Luther King persuaded her not to, and to continue to stay, sending images of a multicultural future into American homes. She was being the change she wanted to see in the world. And the broad cultural impact is also what made her one of the 5 you should know, Black women icons of Afrofuturism, from the National Museum of African American History and Culture. The other 2, who I won't get into today, are Jackie Orms, the first African American female syndicated cartoonist to be published in a newspaper. And part of what I loved about her was her characters had a mind of their own and took no sass. They were fully capable of taking care of themselves. Thank you so much. And Nona Hendricks was a powerful musician who created a space-age themed songs and costumes and had her initial love of astrophysics and space and brought that into her music when she realized that she may love this, but that was not what she was called to do, but she was called to bring it to everyone instead. So friends, I will close as we began. May the beautiful artistry of Afrofuturism be a guide, an inspiration, and a collaborator for all of us to imagine a new world so we can imagine a better one. And I will invite you to rise in body or spirit and join our voices in singing hymn 121, We'll Build a Land. All right.
I think that's it.
And then I will take us into our closing words of, let us go forth with our calm and open hearts, make peace and grow in wholeness, give of ourselves and live in integrity with the spirit of life within ourselves and all living things, being fully present to each moment of this one wild, wonderful, beautiful life.
Thank you, Catherine. And now, if we could say in unison the words for the extinguishing of the chalice, an ending or merely prelude to more glorious beginnings by Michael Schuler. We have reached the end of this time for the gathering of memory. Shall it be concluded then? Or will this adventure now commenced, our separate paths converging, meeting, merging, in the unending quest for love more perfect, the joyous struggle for meaning more sufficient, and life more abundant? Is this ending to be an ending, or merely prelude to new, more glorious beginnings? I pose the question. In your heart lies the answer. And now for our sung benediction.